keep going with it. And there's really no weekend. Like
there's no weekend. As in, there's always something to do.
Yeah, there's always something to do. So you always have to make sure, like, at the back of your head, like, there's something, right? So yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So I wow.
Oh, come on, you know, pizza all up. Come on.
Hello, Ralph.
Hello, Fortune.
Welcome to the Fortune Tech Space.
Yeah, thanks for having me over.
All right. So, Ralph, we would want you to introduce yourself, before you got into tech.
Okay.
Just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so prior to getting into tech, I don't even know if it's pinpointed to, but I think it was somewhere 2016 after I completed like high school. I actually had mechanical engineering, but for some reason I felt like I need to give it a year to think of what I need to do with like my career. So like entering into university and all that. So I stayed on for a year, and that was when I first got some kind of introduction to programming. This book, Learn Python the Hard Way.
Okay.
So that was like me entering into tech.
Okay. So before we get into the tech, what course did you do in the university? Which of the university did you attend?
Okay. So I went to KNUST and I studied computer engineering.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you already had like this computer stuff you wanted like to get into.
Exactly.
So you never had any medicine, Okay. I have always wanted to do tech.
Yeah, my mom actually works at a hospital, so it's like I was around the way too much. I wasn't interested in medicine, pharmacy, and all that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right, so then let's go straight into it. Your first experience. How do you? So in school, you were taught these programming languages and all that. So you are not like new to some of us who wanted to be a doctor and then later on had to switch course and all that. Right. So tell me when you started to learn, let's say HTML, CSS and all those guys, how difficult was it? Or was it like some smooth journey for you?
It was a bit like rocky, right? So in that, I actually learned HTML during my national service. Because in school, like, computer engineering is actually, like, more biased to electronics, right? So there was programming, but it was just Python, C++, like, specifically for tasks. So it's like when they give you a task, you just quickly learn it and use it to perform. Yeah. So it's like during the NSS, that was when I learned HTML, CSS. What made the rocky?
Wait, so during school time, you didn't know...
I didn't know anything about HTML or CSS.
So
I knew they were there,
electronics.
But yeah. So it's like data structures, right? For that course, we had to build a Python dictionary. A dictionary, like essentially something that was using like advanced data structures. So I learned Python for that, right?
Okay, so you knew how to do Python Java, without like C++. HTML.
Yeah.
Wow, I see.
MATLAB, yeah.
Is it?
Python, Java, C++, MATLAB. Those are like in the course, so yeah.
Okay.
Them.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Okay, so you came out and then during your national service, that's where like you started doing like hands-on coding, building projects, right?
Exactly.
And that was your first set. And now, how's the experience like?
During my national service.
Yeah.
I'm
having to learn and all. Yeah.
Amalitech is a great place. Like, whenever anyone says, I want to learn coding, I just say, if you meet the requirements for Amalitech, always go there first. Like, especially if you're in Ghana. So, you have, like, ample time to learn, right? And alongside, you have ample time to practice. So, if you're good enough, you go straight to service center, as they call it. And then from there, you're able to quickly build up with your skills because if you are assigned tasks and things like that, so you just, like embrace the hustle because it's like, it sometimes gets fast paced, right? So you just embrace the hustle and then just keep going with it. And there's really no weekend. Like,
there's no weekend. As in, there's always something to do.
Yeah, there's always something to do. So you always have to make sure, like, at the back of your head, like, there's something, right? So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So I want to understand this whole, or I want you to share your experience with us from your national service to, let's say, your current stage. Just give us some nice story where you share your challenges within each of the projects or companies you moved in. The reason why I want us to do this is to let my audience, especially people who want to get into the space, get to know what exactly happened in developers' life, right? So I had someone here the other time who shared his journey from national service to his stage, and it was really insightful. So we'd like to give us some nice experience.
Okay. So as I said, national service was a lot of learning and training, right? So what I realized about tech is like fail fast, right? So national service, that was the mindset I was going in with, like learn a lot and fail very fast, right? So so somewhere around 6 months into our national service, I think that was when I had my first contract sort of. So it was to build Afrocentric.
Was it outside the company?
Yeah, it was outside the company. Okay. A friend of mine had a contract, and we actually started a Medicare, like a pharmacy sort of, but we had to say no to that because they were asking for like an advanced developer. At that point, it's like I wasn't really there. Yeah, so that was like
still in your beginning stage.
That was like 2022 March around this time. So Afrocentric was around May. That was when I had my real exposure to like a full service blown something. So through that, like I actually learned a lot, and especially with regards to development. And from there, I worked on my capstone projects for Amalitech.
Can you share some of the things you learned?
Mostly some things like middleware with Node, specifically backend development. So connecting to a database, running a container, like things like that, deployment, like mostly backend stuff. But getting to the end of the NSS, that was when I had my second contract, so to speak. So that one was with a company I'm still engaged in, KZI, Germany. So, Daniel challenged me, like, for the first 3 months. I was still with Amalitech, but he agreed to that. And he was somehow, because he also, like, we had a long-term vision of our collaboration. So he was of the view that that's also fair if I can balance the two. So, yeah, so it was like, that was what I always thank Daniel. Like, whenever I talk about Daniel, like, it's really monumental for me because it's like, he guided me through a lot, like in terms of development and putting everything into perspective. So those 3 months were very impactful for me. Like that was when I learned Tailwind. That was before the hype. I think the hype of Tailwind came like middle of last year, but we had it going like 2 years ago. So it's like Tailwind, React, proper React, and
which one is proper React?
Like, it's not writing React code. It's like, I don't say like, okay, I watched what I was writing then before I met Daniel and what I, like, it's a significant difference. Like, so, and ensuring type safety and generally like just making things better. So it's like, I started a journey that snowballed. Even at Amalitech, like it made my career progress very fast because I was thinking different and all that. So in 3 months, I made associate, and after another 3 months, I was made a technical lead of a project, which I last checked is still going on well with them. So that was it before I left Amalitech somewhere middle of last year for Pilgrim.
Yeah. Tell us how did you get into Pilgrim? Just there, was it difficult to switch from that company to Pilgrim?
Yeah, so Pilgrim was actually a recommendation. I think with like one thing I'm observing with developers is most of the top developers don't really apply for jobs. Like, it actually counts calling. Like, it's very funny, but it happens. So, so it's like, it keeps updates. So it's like, Pilgrim, I got the invitation from a friend. At that time, they were increasing their number of employees, right? Because the platform was scaling. So I entered as a Vue developer. Funny enough. Yeah. Vue developer. And I understood Vue, like the principles, but I didn't use it for a full-blown application. But it wasn't really so much of a hurdle. I mean, once you understand how JavaScript works, like, learning frameworks is really not so like hectic. Like, you just have to put your mind into it. So I go into it with him and we built a number of features. You know, when I came the first month, it's actually a part-time thing, like a trial thing. And I was told that if I do very well, I will make a bonus. So like, you get what I said? So it's like
motivation.
Yeah. Last year, May was like a really hectic time because I was closing a contract with our first clients with Daniel at Cares. And my previous company, I had to hand over the entire project to the next tech lead. So, and we were in the middle of like a crucial sprint. And additionally, I was working part-time with Pilgrim. Like, that was when I was starting. So it's like, I was combining so much.
That three things
I was. So it was like, but funny enough, I found a balance for it. And it was an eye-opener actually. Like, in that, like, I think that was when I started having this mindset of, when they give you a task, go at it immediately. Because, like, I was going at a lot of them immediately. And surprisingly, I made a bonus at Pilgrim. And, and I left my previous company on a good note. And I signed an extension with the other German side. So it was quite interesting. Like, and that was my introduction to Pilgrim and my current role.
Okay, so we are now at your current role.
Yeah.
Tell me, how long have you been there?
Almost a year. Maybe will be 1 year.
That means you have a lot of experience now.
Yeah.
Do you get to share what Pilgrim does, or you can just go ahead and tell me what you do at Pilgrim, and then we can get to. Okay, you can tell me the specifics you do, and then we share the challenges with my audience.
Okay. So with Pilgrim, I would say that my works are mostly experimental and more on the side of microservices, right? So depending on maybe a client need, mostly that's how my tasks are described. We've realized a feature is doing X, Y. We need these business requirements, right? So I ran through it with our CEO and the product owner. We come up with like a list of business requirements and then they assign deadlines to it. So given that I'm tasked to create like an architecture diagram, like the whole software development flow. So you have the architecture diagram, go through like services that you integrate, right? Run it through the technical leads, like exactly. So that was it for, I think that system started around September when I was moved to my own project. That was a screenshots board. So yeah, and what made it challenging was, you see, like this wasn't like you and a whole team like can push deadlines, can do X, Y. This was like you being accountable for your services, right? Mm-hmm. Which integrates with other people's works. So it's like you depend on them, they somehow to depend on you to make sure that like exactly. So it was an interesting engagement. It really was. So that will continue to the most part of last year. And that was when I think I felt the Pilgrim experience, let me put it that way. So it's like the good thing about Pilgrim is it creates like a good company environment, right? So you are working remotely, but you don't really feel alone. So it's somewhere around December, I had that like feel of what remote work really feels like, yeah. And around that same time too, my contract with the German company was also going very well. Like the good thing I like about that is Daniel is, as I said, very open about tax. So when you have even clashing tax, you just have to make sure you schedule them. So it's like there are days where I go like 18 to 19 hours, right? and there are days where like I really don't do anything. Like that's like how the load.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you just have to make sure you are hitting it when like you are required to.
So you would say it really makes sense if you are open to your direct boss or your boss that you have another job so that he's able to like consider that when it comes to like you being available or not.
Not particularly. You balance it on your own, right? So
yeah,
it's
but
just,
in his case, in your case,
he had no, I wouldn't say he had an idea, but I would say he may have guessed at other engagements. Let me put it that way. Yeah, but you don't make that interfere with your work. I still make sure my deliverables come on time, and when you reply me, I actually make sure like I reply you back. So normally I start my day like 3 hours like before like standard time, right? So somewhere around 6, I've already started working. Like I wake up around 5:30, so somewhere around 6, I'm already up. Or if I know it's going to be a very long day, that means that I'll be sleeping very late, right? So it's like you have to find those balances. So your work-life balance, it doesn't exist.
So are there times where he wants to like have meetings with maybe company A wants to have a meeting with you, and at the same time company B wants to have a meeting with you? Has such situations come up, and how do you handle that?
You join both. It's very mind numbing. It's mind numbing. It's like those days where your mind is really numbed. So I actually listen to both in a funny way. So I have this way of like listening to people talk. I just pick like the things that are of interest. Surprisingly, like I don't know how it happens, but I'll pick the key points. And sometimes too, what I do is I keep both videos, like I actually record them, right? And then later go and watch it just to make sure I grab it. So, but I make sure that I'm not missing anything, right? Since mostly we have these sprint boards and tax assignments, which I just love. Like they make it very clear what you have to do it. So like through that, I'm able to manage both effectively.
Okay. So you're a remote developer, right? It means that you're in control of your time, everything around you, right? Including work. Now, how do you manage your time in a day as a remote developer?
Yeah. So as I said, there's nothing really like work-life balance for us, right? The only thing that will take me away from work is maybe something that I really have to attend to. I don't really like, I don't know how to put it. Like for one, I try not to lazy around. Like I won't just be at home just because you're working at home. You won't be doing anything. Like no, it's like I'll always look at a sprints board. Even when there's no tax, I sometimes even go to ask for it. Like I ask for projects, like things like that. So it's like I just make sure I'm always proactive. So that's why I said you wake up early, try and prioritize your sleeping hours, right? So if I know I'm going to have a very long night and have a long night, right? So it means that I'll wake up quite late. Or if I know I want to have a very long day, then it means that I'll sleep quite early. Like things like that. So you're able to balance it. The only issue is I think ECG. ECG sometimes without food.
So how has this ECG thing like?
It has set me back like a lot. It has really set me back because like if the light is out during the night, like it's a problem because as I said, my day is very long, like things like that. Like it's a chain of events. So Sundays, like the whole of Sunday I'm asleep. Like yeah, so it's like if you take my lights out during the week, like it causes an imbalance. Like yeah, so that's why I'm very happy with the UPS the company was able to provide for us. It's going to go a long way.
And how about the internet issue that happened? Did it also affect your work?
I'll say so, but not so much. I think it happened on a Thursday, Friday-ish. But I think on Friday, for some reason, we had very good internet. So it was the weekend that was a problem. Yeah. So it was a weekend. But as on Monday, Tuesday, it was backup. So it wasn't really an issue. Thanks to Vodafone.
How can you be saying thanks to Vodafone on my
Oh,
channel?
they tried.
Really?
They tried.
On my channel. Are you serious right now? Okay, so let's move to something very dear to my heart. Community. How has before I ask how has have you ever or do you belong to any tech community out there? It could be Ghana, it could be worldwide.
Really, it's just the companies I've worked with, like, to be very honest, right? And maybe a few good friends from school. So the good thing is in KNUST, like, thankfully there was a work-life balance. So
There was what?
a work-life balance.
Okay.
So I was able to make friends within my class, like course and all that. But it's like, it transcended like just like course mates. It was more like partners, things like that. Yeah. So that's something that has helped me a lot because I think with 2 or 3 of my companies, like I found them through our class group. Things like that. Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. Links that were shared. I think even on Malitech, it was a link in the class group. Yeah. Okay. But recently I joined a community, a Google community. I'm not really a full contributor. I'm just fascinated by the idea of how they handle their build systems at Google. Yeah. So it's like I shared some interest and they reached out to me and they were like, they'll add me to their private group. So I made a member, I think somewhere ending of February, and they had an event at Amsterdam last month. It was free, but I couldn't make it. So yeah, like that's the only other community I'm part of, and yeah, it's quite engaging. They are quite engaging.
Okay, I've always loved like this community. It's not supposed to be like a group of like well structured, organized. Nah, just make sure like you are in some. I believe in that the most so that like. Right now we have ChatGPT coming, so we might say that you don't need a community, but at least in one way or the other, you kind of like need a community sort of. But I've always been a fan of like this community stuff.
That's the thing. Like even with ChatGPT, that's I think when we need communities the most. Like, I mean it's here to help you be a better developer, not really to take away your work. So, I mean, you are smarter now, so you can contribute more to the communities there.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the fun stuff.
Okay.
What tech stacks do you use or do you have as a skill?
Wow, where did I even start from?
I don't know where to start from. Just mention all. Start from the one that you know, the one that you're now about to think of or remember.
I don't even know where to start from. So
at least you can start from, I know HTML, I know CSS, I know this.
Yeah, like the basics. So HTML, right? HTML5, I think that is CSS. And with CSS, other than just the raw one, I've used it for some 2D, 3D stuff before, a learning management platform. So yeah, and then JavaScript, obviously, ECMAScript, like all of those things, and TypeScript, obviously, JSON, like data structures, algorithms. Those were like the foundations, and Prisma, like ORMs. So ORMs, Prisma, Type ORM, and recently Drizzle. I think it's a new one that I added.
Okay.
And databases, MySQL, Postgres, Cassandra, but Cassandra is very limited. I use it for just one project. And AWS, that's something I'm planning on picking up seriously, like heading into next year. Yeah. For this year, my main focus has been on the computer vision. It has a lot of applications, but...
You tell me a little bit about the computer vision stuff.
Okay, yeah, sure. It has a lot of applications, so like that actually engaged me. So outside of work, like the few moments I get to myself, I just update my knowledge base on it. And the backend languages, I know JavaScript, as I mentioned, JavaScript, Node, right? And Redis, seriously, there are lots. Communication protocols, WebSockets, gRPC, tRPC, Tensor Query. What's the other one? It's been so long since I used it. GraphQL, right? Yeah. REST as
How
usual.
about REST? Oh, okay.
Yeah, REST. And so that's it. Like, essentially, if there's a task to do, right, you just have to learn it.
What's required.
Exactly. I think somewhere last year I used Golang for a microservice. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's for one of our clients as program. And somewhere towards the end of last year, I built a serverless backend in Django. So it was just like,
you do Django.
Yeah, like you deploy. As I said, like you should be able to just learn the language, and there are lots of videos around.
PHP.
So I haven't touched PHP. Nothing else required me to.
Rust.
So nothing else required me to use Rust like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the computer vision stuff. Then we would move to what you aspire.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So with computer vision, it's what engages me about it is it's hard. Naturally, like I'm drawn
because
to
it's hard. That's why, like, really.
Yeah, like if it's hard, it means it's going to be rewarding. So what makes it hard, right, and rewarding at the same time is it's new, right? So there are lots of like I was actually studying like papers from the 70s, Linet. That was one of the very early models of computer vision. So it's like I went through all of those, AlexNet, VGNet, like, and recently Yellow V9, right? That's, I think, the hottest thing right now. So it's like each of them tries to give some information about an image, right? Maybe strokes, like faint lines, like things like that, right? Mm-hmm. But currently, like, it's doing it at an even better pace, right? So it's more like a technology to watch out for. It hasn't really broken out. I'll put it that way. It hasn't really broken out as a mainstream thing where like you have actual applications. Most of the applications I see are like hobbyists, like developers just, playing around with things, trying to exactly. So,
but do you know why it's not like out there like that? Because I think computer vision is something that's been there since and AI that's just like few years ago and it has blown all over.
It's a thing of accuracy, right? So one of the models I was working on, right, it hits an accuracy score of 96%. You think it's good, but that 4% has to be accounted for. So it's like before you're able to put like a model out there, okay, for one, you can just warn consumers that like my product is not 100%, like you get that. But sometimes it's like, it's still new. Like people are trying to integrate, right, into their services as it stands, right? So it's like, if you're able to consistently hit like those high scores from your training data and validation, like at least you can be confident of putting it out there. So I think that's like the phase we are in where people are trying to see value from adding AI features, so to speak, like, or I like to think of them as stochastic features, right? AI is termed in stochastic, like, models, yeah. So it's like, you're able to apply those concepts, like, and their value, right, to your existing platform, like, exactly. So that's where we are at. So that's the way the vision.
Okay. Cool. Do you intend to still be in this tech field or journey in the next few years to come, or like, obviously it looks like you still I don't know why I'm even asking this question. I don't know why I'm asking this question, but let me just be sure. And what do you think you would be doing in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years to come?
Literally anything that tickles my fancy. I think I told you earlier that I wanted to enter tech, right? So for immediate plans, I still intend to go on with software. Like, it's still engaging to me. So right now AI, right? But I intend to pick out cybersecurity somewhere heading into next year. Like, I've like tried processing like my journey so far, and as it's best to familiarize yourself with different parts of the discipline, so to speak, right? So that when there's a task at that side, you have some domain knowledge to even pair with someone to work on that task. Exactly. So right now I'm trying to pick up with my AI skills, and from there I'll consider like adding some aspects of cybersecurity to, So I'll be here for long. I'll be here for long. And I actually enjoy how we bring value to our clients through their products we build. So
have you stayed in your room 2-3 days without like stepping out the gate because of coding?
That'll be hard. Because
you haven't.
The reason
why would that be hard?
I have to make sure like things are in order. So my living condition is I stay with my grandma and a cousin, right? So mostly she takes care of the house and things like that. But you still have to just go around, make sure things are in order, just check around. So at least I'll go out of the house once, like compound or something. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So last thing, I believe that I have people who want to get into tech or who just heard of it and have started learning at least one programming or that. They would like to you have how many experience? How many years experience? Yeah?
That should be about 3. Counting NSS, that will be 3 years working.
3 years. Yeah. So, what would you tell someone who is just like 1 month in the game? What would you share?
So, it depends on your approach to the industry, right? So if you are coming from a professional background, so let's say you're a pharmacist, you're a doctor, you're a businessman trying to enter into tech, right? It will make a lot more sense of your time to find how you can add your value to a tech product, right? Than for you to combine that with programming, all of these things, because it took me years to actually wrap my mind around certain concepts. So it's if you are cool with all of that and balancing with your current skill, right? It's that's fair. But mostly you will find a lot more value and get paid even more for simply your inputs into a technical product. Exactly. But if you are coming from a computer science background or any other background, you just want to be a developer, let's say you don't have any other career going on somewhere, for that, you have to be ready to learn a lot. Take a lot of courses, read a lot, and be ready to change the way you think, consistently.
Change the way
you think. Yeah, some problems require you to look at things differently.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all?
I mean, the general thing is, I think there's this thing, game theory, right? Mm-hmm. The general thing is, if you do good and you have good quality, so to speak, with time, your value always appreciates, especially in a career-based course, right? So at first I thought ChatGPT to take our jobs, things like that, but we are still working. And what makes it more interesting is, no, it's it gets to a point where it's your value that you provide, right? So you just have to keep up with industry trends, just learn. You have to learn, you have to pay attention to information, you have to work hard, just those principles.
Okay, cool. That's a lot. And I'm grateful that you came on this talk. All right.
Oh, come on, you know, pizza all up.
Okay. So Raph, thanks for coming on this show. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you back. And thanks for coming.
What I did for you. I did for you.
All right. Peace out.